What's going on, you guys? So check it right. It seems like Molley is ready to bury the hatchet when it comes to his beef with the Big Hash. Now, this past weekend on X, Jay posted the following saying, "Hash and I may have had our differences, but I'll never deny talents when I see it. Man's always been one of my favorite artists in SA, a true musician. I vow to never speak down in his name ever again. Not that it means anything, but you got my flowers, young king." Now, this is dope to see, man, and I say that because it takes a real nigga to acknowledge the talent he sees in his opponent, or rather his peer, rather than continuously downplaying his skill level. I mean, Hash is super talented and there's no denying it. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how Hash responds to this, and that's even if he does. I mean, these two had a pretty dope run of diss records towards each other, with Hash starting off with "I'm sorry" from Life Plus ×2, going on to say, "Pay the F nigga respect until I see a slip. I should have said that shit when Sway was around me. Carried a coffin big enough to carry Moose and Molley. No disrespect to anyone, if you're offended, sorry." And Jay responded by saying, "Ironic how these young boys want to call my name out for clout. Meanwhile, being on the phone calling me trying to hash this shit out. Guess these the life and times you're living in, typical cycle of the internet, cause in person they're always backpedaling." Now, Hash had more records towards Molley with the Freestyle Friday, hosted by Stogie T, as well as How to Kill a Dead Body, which features Flame. And Jay had one more record with Paul Bearer. And I must say, these two really got disrespectful with each other. I mean, we had Hash bring up Jay's race, and the reason why he's only popping is because he's white. And we had Jay bring up Hash's mother, insinuating that he's still living off her. Now, that didn't sit right with Hash, because his mother has been dealing with an illness, and the fact that Jay kept on talking about her outside the diss records, well, it only made the situation worse.
Nobody tossed me to beef with anyone, dog. That man just straight up became a bitch, bro. You know?
Okay.
Like, nah, like, peep this, nah. Like, I'm gonna say this in the most respectful way possible.
Well, not after you just said he became a bitch. But
nah, look, yeah. Nah, I still think he's a bitch, bro. Anybody that could say my mom out of their mouth, bro, I consider you a bitch, bro.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because, like, that's outside of hip hop. I never mentioned anybody's parents or nothing, none of that shit, you know. And I'm not even talking about what he said in that record, bro. Like, I'm talking about him being extra disrespectful on lives with his girl, like talking crazy about me, talking about, oh, Heartbreak Hotel's my mom's house, da 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 da. And the thing is, like, what people don't understand is that, like, I respect Jay. I respect Jay as an artist, not as a human being anymore, but as an artist, because, like, I used to look up to Jay. Like, Jay is like, bro, like, when this new wave shit was happening, like, I was like, man, that nigga Jay, he's really doing shit, like, you know? Like, and it inspired me to be like, okay, you know what, nah, I'm gonna take the wave a little more serious. Like, I'm not gonna say, like, he's the sole, like, inspiration, because there's so many other inspirations. There was A. Reese, there was fucking Nasty, there was Frank, there was Patrick XX Lee, there was Letabo Acid, there was fucking man, like, they're escaping my mind right now. But, like, for me, like, I respected people, you know, like, and I respected their craft. And, like, for me, when it got to a certain point where now we're beefing over things that shouldn't be beefed over, like, because for me now, like, what people don't understand is that shit was sport. Like, the whole rap beef, like, that shit was sport. Like, that's what I thought on both parts, right? Because on one end, you have a guy who's trying to, you know, prove that he's more than just a certain type of artist. And then on my end, I have this thing of, like, so people are taking me too lightly because I've been doing this R&B shit. So I need to, you know, to come out and be who I want to be, like, as, you know, as I told you, like, this is sport, bro.
Yeah,
like,
battle.
you know, it's a, you know, yeah. And, like, I honestly had fun throughout the whole process. But it felt like it was getting too personal at times, you know, us having to make calls back and forth with people through people, because now this man is ignoring me. He's not, you know, but then on Instagram and all of that crazy shit, like, you sneak this in and all of that shit, like, you tweeting about me on the side, talking crazy about me. Like, You know, like, it's just like, bro, like, and at that time I was at the height of my record label issues, so there was no ways I was gonna respond, you know. But at the same time, it's like, okay, good, because I don't want to entertain this stuff. But he's driving it to a point where now people are sending me videos of him talking crazy about my family and shit, like talking about, oh, Heartbreak Hotel is his mom's bedroom, da 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 da. Like, what's like, I'm just like, yo, but is that any of like that shit necessary? Like, yo, for real? Like, because from what I got from our understanding was that rap was just rap. Let's not make it personal, and we explained it from both ends. Because this has nothing to do with labels. Like, there's no fucking ways. But it worked for the both of us in a way that we had exposure on hip hop as a whole. Because hip hop, it needed that. Like, it needed that. It's just like, oh, these young bloods beefing now. Okay, all right, now let's see what they can do, you know? Yeah. And thing is, like, to this day, I respect Jay as an artist. I don't respect him as a human being, because I'd never go out of my way to say those things about another person, especially because I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. You know, having another person that you have problems with, nah, but not their parents, and now they're bringing your parents into it, and it's just like, bro, but is any of that cool? Is any of that, like, in your head? Does that sit right? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we at, man. Fuck that nigga. Like, but as an artist, I respect you, nah. But as a human being, he can go fuck himself.
Jeez, bro.
He can go fuck himself.
So as I said earlier, it's going to be interesting to see how Hash responds to this. But recently, when asked about Jay on an interview with Slicker, while Hash chose to not acknowledge Jay and the question, which tells me he wants nothing to do with him. But either way, J Molley gave the big Hash his flowers, and we can only commend him for that. But you guys, let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think it's possible for these two to fully reconcile, or is it too late? Comment down below. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to hit that like button if you found the content dope, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's on to the next one. Peace.